Hi everyone, welcome back to my craft room. If you're new to my craft room, then welcome. Today I'm working on a really quick and easy little project here. The only time it really takes is just waiting for your paint to dry, but this is really going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be a little great spring decor here. I picked up some of these wooden tulips at Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using 5 of these. Here is the number for those in case anybody is interested in these. You can just pause that, get the number, but I already ripped them all off of here. But we're going to paint these up some really pretty colors, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with these. I was thinking of sticking them in a pot or something, but yeah, I've done all that kind of stuff before. So I figured we're going to make a pretty sign with this. I picked up this really nice frame here from Dollar Tree. Let's see, here's what this one is here on the back. And this thing measures 15 3/4 inches long by about 5 3/4 inches high. And they're really pretty. They have them in darker colors too. But I wanted to use this whiter background for this because I thought it would look prettier. I'm also going to be using one of these little metal words here. I already started painting it. I got to do another coat yet. But these are those galvanized little words here that says spring. I'm going to put another coat of paint on that. I think I'm going to add a little white highlight to that to make it stand out a little bit more. And I think I'm going to go around the frame here and I'm going to add a little bit of brown. I kind of want to just darken up this frame part a little bit just to make those tulips pop. I got a bunch of them painted over here. I'll show you how I did those there in a second. And then we're going to cut them down in different sizes to put in here. And I think I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit of this onion grass and a little bit of this reindeer moss. This is all from Dollar Tree too. Just a tiny bit around the bottom here where I put these flowers, and I think that'll look really, really pretty. So first thing I want to do is stain up this frame a little bit. I am just going to take, let's see, let me grab a brush here, a little bit of this real brown paint. You don't need much at all because we're just going to be using it like a stain. I'm just going to put a little bit. This is one of my old little ice cream cups here. Yeah, you don't need much at all. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit in here. That's probably even more than what you're going to need. I'm going to add a little bit of water that I have here to thin this out. And let's see if that's going to be good enough here. And then you're going to need a couple of paper towels. And then you just kind of mix it up and it'll look real runny, just like a stain. So you get it to whatever color you want to, or you could do gray. You could do whatever color you want to on this. You're going to need a paper towel, and we are just going to go down this edge with this. Try not to get it on my inside there. I'm going to paint that on there, and then paint down these sides here a little bit, just to brown it up a little bit more, but not, you know, I don't want it real dark or anything. So I'm going to put that on there, let that soak there for a second. We'll go down this edge here carefully and let it all just sit there for a minute till it starts to just soak in a little bit, because this has like a wood veneer around the edge of this thing. Alright, oops, I missed a spot. And then I'm just going to go back in here and just rub this off, and it just makes it a little bit, I'll show you the, see, just a little bit darker. It was just a little bit too light, and I thought, oh, maybe these will just show up a little bit nicer if this frame is just tinted a little bit more brown. And I think that's good enough. I don't want it dark or anything. I mean, if you want it darker, you could, by all means, just go ahead and paint it whatever color you want. But I thought just a nice stain-looking finish on this. But this is so easy to do. And it's much nicer than stain. It doesn't smell. You don't have to wait for it to dry for very long. You just put it on, wipe it off, and there you go. And I did get a little bit on there. You bugger. Alright. So let's get that off of there. Let me take this piece, see if I can get that off that I just... Oh, good. It came off. Yay! Well, that's good to know. If you get a little bit down there, it does seem to wipe off pretty easy. Okay. I always make a mess. Alright, so there we go. I think that's good enough. Alright, so there's our frame. That's done. Easy peasy. And now for my spring, so I'm going to move that aside here for a minute until we get the rest of this stuff ready here. I'm going to take this spring sign, and all I used on this, which is probably not the best, you're better off using like a chalk paint on here, but I didn't have the color I wanted, so we're going to go with this, and hopefully I don't scratch it up until I get it together, because this does tend to come off a little bit easier. The chalk paint sticks much better, but I don't have a really pretty color. I don't even have anything to make a color like this, but this is limeade. It's apple barrel paint, acrylic paint. So I'm just going to take one of these little sponge brushes from Dollar Tree, go back over it again for the second time, darken that up a little bit. Not darken it up, but you know what I mean. Actually, this is going to brighten it up a little bit, is what it's going to do. I think I need a little bit more. You don't need too much. There we go. And you could do it with a paintbrush too if you wanted to. I just like doing it with this. It just seems to work better, and then you don't rub your other coat off of there. All right. That looks pretty. All right, so we're going to stick that little guy back there to dry. Stick my brush here in some water. There we go. We'll use this for now. All right, I don't need any more of that stain. So now for all of my tulips, I painted all of these the same. I did one in this pretty pink. I did one in purple. You don't have to do the backs either, because we're going to glue them down to that sign. And then I'm going to do two of them in this pretty yellow, and I did one in this orange color. And I'll show you how I did this. Now this you kind of do while everything's all nice and wet. Do I have another piece of scrap paper here? Let's find some. There we go. So all I did was take a small brush here and give this a nice coat of this yellow, and then while it's still wet is when I go ahead and add the white to it to highlight it a little bit. So I just went around the edges here. The other ones I already put a second coat on. They're all done. But I did them all pretty much the same way here. Just give them a nice coat, nice couple of coats of paint. You could probably get away with one coat, but they seem a little bit brighter once you put on the second coat. And this paint here, I actually got this at Dollar Tree one time when they had it there on, I guess they must have got a deal on these or something, but it's the Martha Stewart craft paint here. It's marigold. I'm trying to see what color, but I have paint over it. I'm assuming that says marigold, but it's a really pretty color. And then the other colors I used over there was this prominent pink. I used chalk paint and acrylic paint, just whatever I had. This is the prominent pink folk art home decor paint. And then this is Craft Smart paint. This is chalky paint that I got from Michael's. It's the burnt orange that I used. And I think that's all the colors. And this white I'm going to use too, and that's just an apple barrel multi-surface paint. But anyway, while this is still nice and wet, you're going to take a little bit of your white here. Stick my brush over here. Let's see, I need to find me a little pointy brush. Where do I have a nice little pointy brush? Here we go, this should work. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this white paint right here on my paper, because you don't need much of this at all. Just a drop. And then all I did was just kind of go down here and just make some lines. And then you can blend it in as, you know, dark or as light as you want it to be. But that's why it's good to work with it while it's still wet. And that's all I did, is just make some lines going up this way. And then I did the same thing on here, kind of on an angle. Just adding some little highlights here. And then we're going to go back and blend those in a little bit more so they're not, you know, such just plain old white lines. And then I did a couple down the center there, and maybe a couple over here. And that's that. Alright, so now you've got your big glops of your white paint on there, and then you can go back in there and just kind of blend that in a little bit better. So it doesn't look like, cause some of them I kind of made like an X to it too. Just mess around with it. You can't go wrong. Like somebody told me the other day, just do it wrong. You just paint over it if you don't like it. But that's pretty much it. And then that just adds that little extra little pop to these things here. Alright, so we're going to set this little guy aside to dry. I think that's good right there. I need to blend that in a little more. There, I think that's perfect. Alright, so now we need to set that little guy up there to dry. Alright, move these paints out of the way. Okay, so let me move that so I don't stick my arm in that paint. So what I did was I measured how I wanted these here. I still have to measure and get the center, but I'm going to put this purple one here in the center. That one's going to go like this. And we're going to use some of this wood glue here. This is from Dollar Tree too. You can find this down like where they have all the hardware stuff. It's a super glue, wood glue. Love this stuff, works great. So we're going to put that one there. And then let's see how I had these measured. I think, nope. Alright, so these are going to go on the ends. And then I cut this one shorter for here. So I just kind of want to figure out where these are going to go. And then my yellow one is going to go right in here. So what I did for the stems on here is I just took some of the floral tape. This is really easy. You could paint it if you wanted to, but it's just so easy just to put the floral tape around it. I just wrap that around there and then just kind of spin it until it goes all the way down to the bottom. And that's that. That's how easy that is. Much easier than painting, but like I said, if you want to paint them, you can go ahead and paint them. Alright, so that one's done. And then I'm going to probably have to pause here because I have to wait till that other one gets dry so I can cut it out, measure it by these other ones here and cut it out before I glue these down. But I'll get out my handy dandy little heat gun and try to get that done. To get it to dry quicker is what I'm trying to say here. There we go. Spin it around and there you go. Yep, that was the one from over here. Yeah, I'm kind of just alternating the sizes here. I need to cut that other yellow one. I need to measure it by this one, so I don't want to glue it down yet. Plus, I need to measure and see exactly where the center is here. So I get this just right. And I think I'm going to put my spring sign on the top. I don't know. I was thinking about maybe the bottom. I don't know. We'll see when it's done. I'm not sure where I want to put it yet. But I kind of think it'll look better if it's on the top. So anyway, let me finish this little guy up here. And then I'm just going to shut this off and get my heat gun out and try to get this paint to dry a little quicker. Of course, it's a cloudy, damp day again. And it seems to be like that every time I paint. So everything seems to take a little bit longer. There we go. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. But anyway, I'm going to pause this here, wrap this little guy up, and once this paint dries, then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do with the rest of this. Alright, let me bring this down a little bit. I don't know why this thing is... Alright, that's better, I think. Okay, so this is dry now. So this one I'm going to make a shorter one because I already have my tall ones all cut out. So I'm just going to measure it by the first one that I did. Take my little wire cutters here and just cut off the little stick that's on there. It's almost like a skewer. It's not very thick or anything. Alright, let me just put some of this tape on there real quick. And this one's ready to go. So we're ready to glue these on. I also started dotting my spring sign. I'll show you. I just left one of the letters partially done so I could show you how I did it. It's It's really simple. I'm sure most of you guys have seen me do it before. You've done it yourself. Nothing to it. Okay, so there are all my flowers. I did make a mark here about 7¼ inches ish. It depends on your frame. None of these are exactly the same, so you're just gonna have to measure. So that I got as my center line here. So hopefully I can get my tulip in the right spot. Now this one goes down here, and this pink one is gonna go right there. So then I can just, once I get the center one on, I'm just gonna lay these out and, you know, get them as close as possible. I'll probably have to stand up to do that. Make sure I have them kind of straight. Alright, I think that's good. So I'm going to take some of this super glue, wood glue. You don't need a lot of this, especially on this project like this, to, I think my thing's clogged. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Let's see, where's my little poker thing? Alright, let's see if we can get some glue out of there now. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to add a little hot glue to it just to hold it in place while this dries. It doesn't take really long for this wood glue to dry. So let me stand up here so I can make sure I'm getting this. There's my little center. That looks pretty good right there. Voila. And then these look good right where they're at, so I think I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. Come on, glue. There we go. Alright, just drop a hot glue to hold it there. And I just bumped you guys again. So, my glue gun's right by my tripod there. So that looks pretty good. As far as spacing. So that one goes there. Oh, this little hole did not do much for this glue. There we go. Try not to bump these again. Ugh, I just got yellow on there. Eh, whatever. Okay. So, I think that's good right there. You know, they're tulips. They just don't grow perfect anyhow, right? I kind of want them to look pretty good for this little picture here. Alright, there's our wood glue, our hot glue. That looks pretty good there. I love these like little 3D picture kinds of things. I think these are so pretty. Come on, glue. I got the last one to go on here. There we go. Close. Yes. Alright. And there are our tulips on our picture. So pretty. Alright, I think that's good for those. Now I cut out a bunch of this onion grass. I actually took the bigger pieces, like if you cut it down lower, they're real thin at the top, like, you know. But I want these to kind of be a little bit more like leafy things for our tulips since they don't have any leaves. I thought these would be good. I don't want these squared off edges, so I am going to trim these top pieces here as soon as I figure out how tall I want them. Not real super tall, but let's see. I'm just going to kind of cut them on an angle so they don't look like they're just cut straight off. And I think that looks good there. So let me grab 2 more for the other side and measure those so they're kind of the same. Just hold them over to the side here so I don't flick these little pieces of plastic all over. So I think that'll look cute. Spread them out a little bit. Just kind of want to see how I want them. And then the bottom here is where I'm going to put just a little bit of moss along the edge just to kind of finish it off a little bit. And then these are going to have to be much smaller pieces. Okay, so let me measure the rest of these up here quick. Alright, so I'm going to need 3 sets of this height, or approximately. Doesn't have to be exact, but close enough. So I need one there. We need one for here. And then the other ones we're going to cut a little bit smaller for our littler tulips. So those are going to go there. Gotta have some leaves in here with our tulips. Alright, now I need one more big set here for this one. Oh no, I need 2 because I didn't finish that one. And then I will start to glue these on, and then I won't make you guys watch me glue them all on here. Because it's going to take me a minute. But we'll get a couple of them done here. Alright, I think I have all these cut out now. That's for that one, that's for that one. Alright, now these, I actually might be able to use some of these little pieces I cut off to fit down here with these smaller ones. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut them a little bit smaller like that so they stick up. Alright, so now I'm just going to take these little buggers and we're just going to hot glue the bottoms down in there. And that's pretty much it for this part. I may need to get out my little finger protectors here. Yes, I do. Or I might actually need something else to help push that down in there. Oh, that worked pretty good. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to stick a little glue down in there and just glue all these in just the way they're sitting right here with just a little bit of the hot glue. And then once I get all those done, we'll come back, just add our moss real quick, and I'll show you how I finished off that sign, and that will be it. Easy peasy. And if you don't like the leaves on here, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do. I just thought it would just give it a little extra something here. Alright, so I'm going to finish gluing all these little pieces of grass down, and then we'll come back and do the moss. Alright, we have them all down on there now. Look how pretty. I love this so far. Alright, so before I put the moss on, I do want to go ahead and paint this, show you how I painted this sign so it can dry here while we're adding our moss. So this is how, I don't want to scratch this, I don't know how dry it is. This is how I dotted it, just to bring out the words a little bit more, you know, the word rather, a little bit more. But I left this spot down here to show you how I did it. I just took one of these embossing tools here. It has 2 different size dots. They have these at Dollar Tree. I don't think as small as this one. I do. Well, I don't want to switch now. But anyway, or you could use a toothpick too if you wanted to. And then you just dip in your paint. I just poured some paint right on my paper here. I just dip it in and just dot. And I dip for each dot too, just so they come out pretty much all the same. And that's all I did all the way around the edges of that. And then I kind of went in between, you know, the dot from the other side and then dotted the other side of the letters to kind of match that. But that is how I did that. And that's just how easy it is. But I really think that brings it out a lot more. So we're going to set him up there to dry while we add our moss on here. Where did my paper towel go? I don't know. Oh, here it is. Just wipe that off and ready to go for the next one. Alright, so I have this moss here in this little container, hoping not to make a giant mess. Like I said, this is the reindeer moss. I like it because it's just a real pretty green. So I'm just going to, over top of this here, try not to make a total mess. If I just want to take little bunches of this, I don't want a lot, just kind of to line just the bottom here. So let's see how this is going to work out. We're going to start over here, just a little at a time. I think will work out better. And just take some of this moss and stick it down into the hot glue. And then whatever's hanging over the edge you don't want, we can trim that off after that glue dries. But I think that's just going to finish this picture off. I don't want it on the frame either, so we're going to get all that off of there. which is really simple. We're just going to trim it, but I'll wait till we get done. There's no point in doing that now because this stuff's going to be all over the place. Okay, so I'm just going to make another small line here. Let me get my moss ready to go. So I don't want this to be real thick, so I'm just going to do it a little at a time to try to get this to stay in here nice. And that kind of covers up your little glue. We're going to clean this up. It's a mess right now, but that kind of just covers up all the little glue things that we put down in there too, so it'll look nice and clean when we're done. Alright. Get some more of this moss ready. And we'll just brush off whatever didn't stick. My fingers are getting a mess. Alright, I'll just do some more, show you a little bit more of this, then I'll finish it off camera here so it doesn't take too long. But just little at a time is the easiest way to do this. Because otherwise you got to worry about your hot glue cooling too fast, and you know, you don't want that. And I am going to take a scissor and trim all this off around the frame. You could spray it if you wanted to too, to make sure it doesn't, you know, come off anymore. But let me finish gluing this down and then I'll show you how this looks. And I'm just going to take scissors and trim this stuff right along the edge there, so it kind of cleans that up nicely. And then once I get it on here, I'll show you that and we'll get our spring sign on there. Alright, so I got that all the way across. I just took my scissors, trimmed anything that was hanging down here. Up here you can pick off anything that looks too high. But I wanted the frame to look nice and neat. There's a little bit down there I want to pull off. But yeah, just pull off whatever you don't want on there and just leave what's stuck in the hot glue. So I just wanted like a little tiny, like a little grass effect there at the bottom. But I think that came out real cute. Alright, now all we have to do now is put on our spring sign. And I'm going to use a little bit. I debated and debated. I don't like it on the bottom. It's going on the top. And I almost wish I would have painted it yellow. But it's staying the way it is now. Yeah, the more I look at it, I think it would be prettier in yellow. But I know this is my center here, so I'm hoping I can get this semi-correct. I don't know if that's going to be over too. I got to stand up again and look. No, it doesn't look. I try to want to get it centered with this hanger too, or it's not going to look right. So it may have to go right about here. All right. Let me mark that, at least one end of it where I want this little G to go. All right. So let's see where I'm going to put my glue. Just on the bottom of these letters here. So I'm going to take a little bit of this E6000, and I'll probably put a dot of hot glue on here too, just to hold it while this dries, because this takes a little while to dry. Alright, so we need some here, a little bit on the bottom of these letters, and I think that ought to do it. You don't need too much of this stuff, because this stuff holds like crazy, and this is not a heavy piece at all. So let's get that on there. There's my little mark. And there we go. I think that is how this is going to go. Try to wipe some of this glue out here. I don't want it to stick out. And then all I have to do now is get these awful glue webs off of here. That are, whoops, don't move. There you go. But that's it. And I will clean this all up and hang it up and put a nice picture at the end of this. Once I get all of my glue webs off, I'm just going to take my handy dandy little heat gun here and just blow these all off of here, which is so much easier than trying to pick them all off. But yeah, that is it. That is my little easy peasy project for today. Like I said, I'll hang this up so you can see it a little bit better. without all this mess in the background. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this project, and I will see you guys all next time. Have a great day, everyone.